Good evening. Welcome to the regular Uniontown City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2021. Roll call.
Mr. Shuhon?
Here.
Mr. Vasaki?
Here.
Mr. Gaddy and Mr. Palumbo and Mayor Gurke?
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a guest this evening, Mrs. Dr. Twyla Lee Gwynn. Would you please come to the podium, Miss Gwynn?
Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day. If not, I am. As he introduced myself, I am Reverend Dr. Twyla Lee Gwynn. A lot of you know me, and for those who don't know me, you should. Let me tell you why. I've been a part of the Uniontown community for 21 years. I was born and raised outside of the city. I lived outside of the state for many years, but coming back, just being part of the community, working and just giving myself to help those who can and need advice by way of a great smile. I am the founder and owner of Diamonds Women in Wisdom. And what that stands for is women in spiritual development of maturity through Christ. So my bottom line of being here and having the privilege to have been invited as a guest by Mayor, thank you, is to work with the community. What I do through love, support, and unity is to see women united through all classes, all races, just to get together and support one another. With love, support, and unity, we can change a household, we can change a street, we can change a neighborhood, therefore, we can unite this city. And where will we be without women? And we all need support. So whether it's someone going through a divorce or child trauma or whatever it might be, being able to speak freely, gain wisdom and understanding from someone else, we can change our neighborhoods, building bridges and tearing down walls. Thank you, Mayor. Is there anything that anyone would like to ask? I only want to take a few minutes. Oh, you're quiet. Okay. Well, you can find me at Diamonds Women in Wisdom. And I am also on WMBS radio on Sunday mornings, 7:45 to 8 o'clock. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wynn. We had an executive session today at 4 p.m. for personnel matters. Comments on agenda items only. Before we ask for comments on the agenda items, we do have some guidelines that the council had passed in the March 2020 meeting, and they're posted on the door. I think there's some over on the table there, so they're just a guideline to go by. 3 minutes for each public comment. That is to give everyone a chance to speak, and always conduct yourself in a gentlemanly type fashion. Do we have any comments on agenda items only? If not, I have a few.
I have a question. Is this about the resolution on the board?
Could you stand up and state your name?
My name's
and your address, and go to the podium for, and that's another thing I'd like to ask any,
I misunderstood what you had just said. I just needed you to clarify.
pardon me?
You said something about the thing on the door, and I just needed you to clarify.
Okay, those are the guidelines that we have for the public comment and how we can conduct public
Oh,
comment.
and that was past the March 2020.
2020, yes, ma'am.
Do you have a record of vote on that?
I assume that would be in the meeting minutes for the
Absolutely.
2020 meeting if it was voted
And
on.
and a copy of the resolution.
Oh, so you did.
Yes. Any other question, any other comments on agenda items only? Okay, I have a few comments. Every month I have something to say, and we'll make it brief. Our Landlord Registration Act that we passed this last year, year-to-date, we've collected $18,850. That's about 55% of the landlords have paid the $25 fee for each building that they own. Business licenses, as of the 1st of June, about 75% of those funds have been collected. With the funds that haven't been collected, our code officer, Matt Thomas, will address those situations on how we're going to go the next step in collecting those monies. Cleanup day. We had a successful cleanup day back in April, and we have another one scheduled sometime in the fall. And that was per the contract with county hauling. But myself and a few other people here in the city have decided that we're going to try to have another cleanup day, end of July, 1st of August. We'll get out some more information about that in future time. But I think it's something that needs to be done in the city, and it seems like we get a lot of good participation. We're looking for more people to come out, so we'll keep you posted on that. Sheepskin Trail. I think ever since I became mayor, I've talked about the Sheepskin Trail, and it seems like we were at a standstill. Then Mr. John came on board, and whenever Mr. John came on board, I'd ask him to spearhead getting this Sheepskin Trail going through the city. There's a lot of things that have occurred, and there's a lot more involved than what we thought it was, but we're making progress. Mr. John will elaborate on that in his report later in the meeting. There's a lot of things that Mr. John and Ms. Kutek and I have done over the last month, visiting people, and I'll let them elaborate on some of the things that we've done, all positive things in the community, and I'm real happy to be out in the public with both of them. It makes me feel good. And I think that's about it. If anyone has any questions for me or any comments. If not, we'll have the monthly report of the city treasurer, Ms. Hodge.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last month, I reported that we had a breach in our software. We have identified one solution, but our investigation is still continuing with our RAC on a weekly basis to determine the root of the problem. We hope that the solution that we are currently using would eliminate the breach. We implemented a process to help our taxpayers, and we are doing everything possible to achieve this goal. As indicated before, everyone may not understand the process, but I'm available to discuss any concerns that you may have. The Treasurer's Office is open for your convenience from 7:45 to 3:45, Monday through Friday, to make your payments, and we are receiving people during the morning to come in at 7:45 to pay. After 3 p.m., we do not accept cash. However, if you need to come after 3 to make a payment, just call the office and let us know, and someone will be here for you to be able to do that. We are currently collecting the face amount, which is the middle amount on your blue tax bill. This period will end on June 30th, 2021, and then we will go into the penalty phase. We will send out reminders to those taxpayers who have not made their payment to remind them that their taxes are still due. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact my office at 724-430-2905, or you can email me at ahodge@atlanticbbn.net or utcitytreasurerhodge@gmail.com. Does Mayor or Council have any questions?
Yeah, I do. You said that you identified what the breach was?
Yeah, so far. So we had to it's not, so we have 3 people using the system. And so we only have a 1 user license. So if I'm in there and Crystal's receiving something, that's my deputy treasurer, it may not save. We found that out. The other problem is that we had to put password protection so that I can see who's going in. So the rule is we have a log. If there's a problem with a payment or it comes back NSF, we have to put in certain initials to be able to identify that. That was not picking up in the system. So we found that problem. So the password protection is helping us to make sure nobody's going in to change any amounts. Plus, we're also being able to identify what time the date stamp is stamped. So I can see what Crystal does for the day, I can see the date stamp. Before that never happened.
So it wasn't actually a breach, it was a system problem?
Nope, because somebody was going in, he identified that somebody was going in messing with changing payments.
But we don't know
But
who
we don't know
that is?
who.
Okay,
No.
all right, thank
Yeah,
you.
but we're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can, he's gonna identify by computer addresses and so forth. So whenever we get that information, get Mr. Whit will be contacted so that we can review it.
So then we will find out.
We will find out. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodge. Ms. Marshall?
Thank you.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to accept the report of the treasurer for the month of May 2021. Be and the same is hereby accepted and filed. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to accept the minutes of the May 6, 2021 regular council meeting. Be and the same is hereby accepted and filed. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown, council hereby directs the Director of Accounts and Finance to make payment of the following invoices for services rendered or products procured for the City of Uniontown for May 2021 invoices. In the General Fund, $57,783.06. Sewer Fund, $111,885.98. Recreation, $626.10. Highway, $889.66. Recycling, $1,853.15. Library Fund, $30,000. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to approve the PennDOT Bridge Agreement conditioned upon solicitor approval for the North Gallatin Avenue project. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
This is the bridge right by the tracks, is that correct?
Yes, right there.
Down by General Court?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to authorize the mayor to sign the PennDOT North Gallatin Avenue Bridge Agreement and all other documents related to this project. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
I was going to say, this can be a great opportunity. I think we all agree that this is perfect timing and great opportunity for us, so yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to accept the blight remediation grant of $25,000 and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign grant contract documents. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to waive the bond or escrow requirement for the county's stormwater management plan. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that,
Yeah, certainly.
to let them know exactly what
Yeah.
we're doing?
So this was a request that had come from the county. This is for the county's prison project. Typically, when there's development within the city, the person that's developing that property is required to provide a stormwater management plan to handle the stormwater from that development. And typically that requires either a bond be placed or some sort of other security or escrow arrangement that's made with the city. For the county project, because it's the county, for one, And it's also located here in the city. They have their facility here in the city, and the county's obviously not a party that will be going away anytime soon. This isn't a requirement that the county actually would need to provide. So this just waives that requirement, so there's no concerns, and that actually saves the taxpayers across the county, including here in the city, some additional funds at no additional cost to the city itself. So that's an action that actually works to everybody's advantage for this particular project.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to adopt the City of Uniontown social media policy as presented. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to enter into an agreement between the City of Uniontown and Blended Reality Band to perform on July 4th, 2021, as presented. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to replace part-time Parks and Recreation seasonal employee Maddie Spiker with Ayanna Harris to work at Chestnut Ridge at a salary of $8 per hour, effective immediately. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to authorize the mayor to execute approval letter for use agreement transfer from the property 177 West Main Street and 114 Pershing Court in the City of Uniontown to Hershey Plaza as presented, to also approve an application and review fee to reimburse the city for review and legal costs. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to authorize Orbital Engineering, a contractor for a fiber optics company, to remove cut low-voltage lines on poles on the corner of Church Street, down East Main Street, and Cleveland Avenue in order to provide more space on the pole to attach the company's fiber. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Mayor, these next three resolutions are for vehicles that were put out to bid that are out of service. I prepared separate invoices for each vehicle. I did not receive any bids for any of the next three resolutions. The 96 Ford Super Duty truck, the 1989 Elgin street sweeper, and the 99 Chevy one-ton dump truck. I did receive a call. Did anyone call you, John, or talk to you about it? But I didn't receive anything.
So we'll note for the record that there were no bids that were received for item resolution 105, 106, and 107. Each of those vehicles or pieces of equipment, and then we'll have to look to see what the third class city code enables us to do for the disposition of that equipment. So, but just for purposes of our meeting, we note in the minutes that no bids were received and that we're taking no action on those next three resolutions. That would be appropriate this time.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody wants an 89 street sweeper?
Should we review these again then? Do we need to make a resolution to do this one more time?
That's one of the things we'll want to look at. So Kim and I will check that to see what was required. Because I know, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know that after you've put it out for bid, there's a lessened requirement of what's required in order to dispose of property, so you don't incur the expense of going out and completely rebidding that. So we'll look at that under the code and see what we can do to have that addressed.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to appoint Kayla McLusack-Mazer to the Uniontown Downtown Business District Authority, UDBDA, to fill the unexpired term of Mark John, term to expire December 31, 2023. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown to authorize George Smalley to repair damaged light pole on West Main Street at a proposed cost of $2,475. Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes,
And that's all I have, Mayor.
thank you. Monthly reports. Code Officer, Mr. Thomas.
Oh, jeez.
Hi, good evening. For the month of May, we had 20 new referrals, closed 26, and I carried over 30 cases. So we're still running a carryover. Last fall, if you remember, at some point I had 50 some, 60 some cases carried over a month. But we're making headway. All those cases that were closed were successfully remediated in one way or another. You discussed earlier the landlord-tenant licenses, which have not been returned. We're going to send out a second reminder letter, give them 10 days to respond, and then we're going to have to go to a magistrate. The first offense for not filing it, in addition to having to eventually pay the licensing, is a $200 fine on top of that. My question, and I guess I'll ask you now, Tim, is that $200 per parcel, or is that $200 if I own 20 properties or one? Is it 20 times 200 or just 20?
It's per parcel.
Per parcel. That's what I thought.
Because each parcel requires
A license.
to
Okay,
use that
so
parcel.
obviously it behooves a person not to send in their money, because if you own 10 pieces of property, we're going to multiply your fine times $200 per property. So, but we're going to aggressively go after that. Probably end of June, 1st of July, till the letters go out and they have their 10-day notice. We're still moving forward, slowly but surely. We've identified, I think it was 44 parcels of structures, not parcels, structures that need torn down. I started researching, going through the courthouse, making sure that the information we have is correct, so when we send the letter out, it's correct. And my plan is to, I'm not going to send out 47 letters at once. If I get one done, we'll send that letter out, and I'll post the property as well. But that's where we stand. Got a lot of high grass, a lot of garbage in the alleys, garbage in just people's property. I don't understand the disconnect. If you own property, you have to cut the grass. If you own property, you have to keep the garbage off of it. Again, are we stupid? What don't we get here, folks? It's just simple, plain English. What aren't we getting? Where's the disconnect? Any questions? All right.
Oh, you've been doing an amazing job since you started. We're very lucky to have you. A lot of people don't know what you do.
I try, and it's a team effort. I mean, I'm going to say, K2 Engineering, at the drop of a hat, if I need something, they're there to support me. Tim, sometimes we communicate on the weekends, email back and forth with questions. Folks in the mayor's office, the girls, anything I need, it's a team effort. Police department, fire department, again, I don't know if Buck works 7 days a week, but anytime I call him, he's there. And the same thing with the police. The police back me up anything I need. So I didn't do it all on myself. I might be the guy here at the podium, the cheerleader, but a lot of good people behind me helping me.
Everyone's doing an amazing job, man.
Well, thank you.
Definitely noticed.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Fire Department, Buck, Joe?
You want to go first there, Buck?
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Since I'm in charge of public safety, I just want everybody to know that, just bear with me while I read this. Some of you might know this, some of you might not know this, but In the United States, June is the National Safety Month, and 2021 marks the 25th anniversary of this event. The goal of the National Safety Month is to bring focus and elevate awareness of safety in all areas of life. According to the latest National Safety Council statistics, approximately 4.6 million preventable injuries occur in the workplace. This is in addition to the 39.4 million preventable injuries that occur in the home. Even one preventable injury is too many. This June is a great time to re-energize your commitment to safety for yourself, as well as for your family, co-workers, and our community. And to reinforce why safety must always be a core value of my life and your life. Preparation is the key to keeping yourself and loved ones safe at home. Here are some examples that you probably do or might do or could do. Do a fire drill, identify a meeting point during an emergency, check carbon monoxide detectors in your home, make sure you have fire extinguishers in your home, check your first aid kit to see if it needs restocked, or any of those items there above that I mentioned. You can do any of those, or most of you probably are doing some of those. Again, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, so thank you for bearing with me with that. For the fire department's report for the month of May, they answered 83 calls. 11 of those calls were fire related. There were 24 motor vehicle accidents that they responded to. They had 6 extrications or rescues. 4 power lines issues were down. 1 natural gas leak. 4 electrical wiring issues. They also took 21 government and public service calls. They had 3 severe weather calls and 9 false alarms. So that was a total of 83 calls they took for the month of May. Again, I thank Buck Griffith, our fire chief, and Scott Kahn, our detective, and the other 7 firefighters that work for our city. So thank you, Buck.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Any of the points that Joe covered there, any of the safety points, if anybody gets jammed up at home, has questions on anything, you feel free to call, and somebody at the station will help you out. Last month, well, the past several months, we gave a civil service test for the fire department. We did not have an eligibility list, and since my retirement's pending in the first of the year, we're going to have an eligibility list to hire from. We had 3 applicants. Out of those 3, 2 were eligible to test. They did physical abilities test, a written exam, and an oral exam. The oral exam we completed last Thursday evening, and I don't get to see the results. I believe everybody passed. They'll be posted probably after the Civil Service Board meetings, July 7th, if I'm not mistaken. The 9th, okay, thank you. The only other thing I had was some minor mechanical problems in the past month with some of the apparatus, and we've got that all taken care of. One question I had was the North Gallen Avenue Bridge project. What's going on? They gonna tear that, replace the bridge, or?
So that's a project. Obviously, the bridge there is in fairly poor condition as far as bridges go. And PennDOT, we're working with them to actually have them complete that project to redo that bridge.
It's not going to be this summer?
No, it would not.
Okay.
It would not be this summer immediately. The city would, it's a good project, especially for the city. It would save the city's taxpayers a lot of money, and it's good that PennDOT was willing to
I
have
understand.
us
The reason
work.
I was asking,
Yeah.
because that's our access to that end of town.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're going to have to, when that time comes, somebody's going to have to make amends.
Yeah.
It'll be after my time.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions about anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thanks for your service.
Thanks, Buck.
Police Department, Captain Rutter.
Okay, during the month of May, police responded to 827 calls for service. Breakdown of some of those calls were 25 vehicle accidents, 9 assaults, 2 burglaries, 8 criminal mischiefs, 14 disturbances, 34 domestics, 3 drug offenses, 12 fire calls, 15 harassments, 22 disorderly conducts, 27 emergency medical assist, 15 shots fired, 49 suspicious activities or persons, 23 thefts, and served 14 warrants. Also made 16 criminal arrests and 1 non-traffic and 16 traffic citations were issued. We also conducted numerous patrols on the Sheepskin Trail and the parks, parking garages, etc. One of the criminal arrests was made for a homicide that occurred last year here in the city. So we made that arrest here in May. Any questions? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Captain, and always thanks for your service. Public Works, Mr. Podolinsky.
Hi, this month the total sewage collections was $198,468.69. It's probably a little better on track than it was last year with all the COVID and not being able to do turnoff notices and that, so maybe we'll be back on track to be on budget this year with all that. Other than that, most of our equipment and everything's been operating pretty smoothly. We've been keeping up on maintenance and stuff. None of us are professional mechanics, but we do our best to keep everything going as it ages. We've had a few small sewer breaks, but nothing too much that we couldn't really handle. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to report. Any issues, questions?
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Thanks, John, and always thanks for your service. Redevelopment Authority, Mr. Rafel.
Thanks, John.
Mayor and Council, I want to thank you for having me here this evening and for hearing my report. We have put out to bid 9 streets, which we will open those the 15th, and we will review them and have that awarded at our next meeting, which is Wednesday the 17th, 16th, I'm sorry. The 16th is our meeting. Today I spent a little time at the courthouse because the Redevelopment Authority purchased 18 properties off the repository. One of those properties is a house that is on Mr. Thomas's demolition list. So, Matt, you could take that one off on Cool Spring Street. We'll be buying that and demoing it. So, what we're doing is I'm trying to look at properties for the future so that we can work with Community Action Agency for another grant if we get this first grant for $13 million to apply for another one and have properties available for them to utilize to build new homes in the city. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Mr. Rafel, I know we've entered into a lease agreement with the Redevelopment Authority.
Yes, sir.
The rent was due on the 1st of June.
Yes, sir.
It's the 3rd of June.
Yes, sir. And I have sent that lease over to our solicitor, and he is reviewing it, and I have not gotten word back whether to sign it or not, so I haven't done anything, sir. So I will, again, tomorrow remind Mr. Davis that we need a response to that. And perhaps he could reach out to Mr. Witt with some of the questions that some of the board members had. You know, the lease was given to us after the board meeting. I did email it to the board, but the board had questions, and Mr. Davis was supposed to look it over, and I haven't heard back from him. And we did have a holiday in there too, so.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Rafel.
Thanks, Mark.
Community Development, Mr. John.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Council. First, the city was awarded a $25,000 grant for blight study. Thank you, Council, for accepting that grant. The grant was awarded in its full amount, and the grant's match waiver was accepted. There were requests for this grant totaling over $50 million with only approximately $12 million available. The City of Uniontown was only one of 84 awarded in the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you, Mr. Over and Dana Kendrick and K2 Engineering for your help with this grant. Sheepskin Trail updates. A grant has been submitted through the Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program that should secure funding to cover construction of the city's section. That was submitted last week. Again, thank you, Dana Kendrick and K2 Engineering, for all your work in submitting that application. We have commitments of private funding to complete the first 877 feet of the trail, from where the trail currently ends to Dunbar Street. We can begin that construction once the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, signs the document stating that we can exhume the tracks and assume that land along which that trail will run. Once that happens, we can't solicit bids for that 877 feet. It may not be the whole trail at once, but it's a start. And as somebody said yesterday, we are closer than we've ever been. We expect the PUC to sign over the tracks to the city sometime this month. Once that happens, we can begin exhuming the tracks, and it's our hope that the city will exhume the tracks using money obtained through the scrapping metal for the construction costs, or at least to alleviate some of them. We've sent letters, as we approved at last month's meeting, to local businesses along the trail in the Beeson Corridor who may see a change in parking or traffic along the Beeson Corridor, along which that trail runs. We've been in contact with the Industrial Heartland Trails Coalition, Rails Trails Conservatory, potential construction services providers, private funding providers, local and statewide legislators, and K2 Engineering, in which we are in steady contact. And again, Mr. Over, thank you for answering all the questions that we do have. And thank you for the citizens who are so passionate about seeing this trail transform our city. We believe it can be the catalyst to some economic, social, and recreation development, really paralleling nothing we've seen in the last several decades. Comprehensive plan. We've sent requests for proposals to 10 selective engineering and consulting firms. The deadline to receive these proposals is June 17th. We will evaluate each proposal and ask council to approve. We're seeking grant assistance to pay for the comprehensive plan, which is expected to total between $40,000 and $60,000. It's expected that the firm selected will assist with the grant writing applications for the comprehensive plan. I took a phone call today from a young lady at one engineering firm who is committed to helping us write that grant and find that money for that comprehensive plan, which, as stated in previous meetings, turns us into a keystone community, opening us up to much more funding. We are in the process, on a separate note, of applying for a 902 recycling grant, which was recently opened, and we will be writing that application ourselves. Once the application is complete, we will ask council to vote in favor of submission of the application. Lights at Bailey Park and the baseball field. We've secured a drawing for the pads, and again, K2 Engineering, thank you so much for all you're doing in those efforts. We're awaiting some additional details for those drawings, and once we get them, we can start submitting bids for the overall cost of the project. We're researching this total cost of construction, materials, and labor to pour the concrete pads, retrofit the lights with energy-efficient lighting, and rewire the poles and stand them back up. We've contacted EPHIUS Lighting, the official lighting partner of the WPIAL. They are drafting a proposal free of charge for the entire project, with the exception of rewiring the poles, which will be done in-house. We've established contact with West Penn Power and First Energy to be placed what they call in their queue as a potential partner on the project to secure funding. And personally, I would just like to thank the entire team, everybody with whom we work every day, who makes things so easy, as everybody else who stood up here mentioned. On a separate note, I've spoken with the Director of Redevelopment in Connellsville, Michael Edwards, who's provided tremendous insight and a list of contacts who may be of assistance to our city in the direction in which we're headed. And finally, Pastor and Dr. Twyla Lee Wynn, thank you. The message of unity is heard. Where are you, Doctor? Oh. Together we can accomplish more than what we all dreamed. Separated, we get nothing done. So thank you for your inspirational 5 minutes and that smile. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. John. Director of Planning and Community Relations, Ms. Kutek.
Good evening, Mayor Gerke and Council. Everyone, have a good evening. This week, tonight, I'd like to talk about a few things that I have done along with Mayor and Mr. John. And it was great to see life get back to normal with outdoor gatherings. As everyone knows, the restrictions were lifted. We attended Fayette Chamber of Commerce sponsored Business After Hours pop-up event at Story Square. I was contacted by the Green Gardeners with a request to locate some of the cement planters back to their original spots. Thank you to Public Works and Johnny who made that happen. Later that week, the Green Gardeners were out planting, weeding, watering nearly 400 plants, all in one day. I commend these ladies for their hard work and dedication to make our city bloom. The Gardeners also donated the funds to have the planters along the parking garage on Church Street repainted. That project will be soon underway. Thank you to the Uniontown Fire Department for their continued support with the watering. Upcoming events, Saturday, June 12th, Fayette County Household Chemical Collection at the Fayette County Fairgrounds from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You must pre-register online before the event. Flyers are available after the meeting. I have those for you with a list of what they are accepting. The website does list what they are not. You must pre-register, and I do have a phone number to call with any questions. That number is 412-488-7490, extension 3. Sunday, July 4th, Uniontown's birthday firecracker 5K run and walk. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for approving my social media policy. I'm going to back up a little bit. You approved the social media policy to move forward with reaching out to the community from City Hall, as well as the contract for the band that will be playing at the race. I am very excited about this upcoming 5K. As many citizens know, Uniontown shares its birthday with our country's birth, July 4th, 1776. Hopefully, this inaugural event will become an annual celebration. As with most events, their success is dependent upon volunteers. I have made a concerted effort to engage volunteers to help this run smoothly. Additional volunteers are still needed. Should you be willing to assist in this endeavor, please contact my office. Race begins at 9 a.m. Registration forms can be found at City Hall and on our website. Live entertainment at Story Square with local band after the race. I would like to thank BU Cafe, Riz's, Sullivan Brothers, and the new Uniontown Diner, who will be open for business with race and holiday-themed menu selections. Donated items will also be available for raffle. Goody Girls will be selling a limited number of birthday cupcakes in Story Square, along with race event pint glasses. Thank you to those who have already reached out with sponsorship donations. Good news in the city. City resident Greg Rudinsky, who is with us this evening, has reached out to me with many ideas for Bailey Park and future projects and events around the city. Thank you, Greg. And I would like to thank Dr. Nguyen for joining us this evening. I hope that's something that we can move forward and offering is to get together to bring unity in the city. Any questions, Mayor and Council?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kutek, and thanks for your hard work.
Thank you, Laura.
Time for public comments. Before we get started, there was a question earlier about the resolution that I had discussed. It was passed on March 10th, 2020. Are there any public comments?
Yes.
Would you state your name and your address, please? Yes, and go to the podium. Yes, please.
How are you? So I'm Carmina Taylor, and I came from Philadelphia to have public comments. I looked over the resolution. It didn't say, I don't live here, but it did say that this public meeting is open to the public. Is it okay if I talk?
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. So it's really interesting how everything has unfolded today about the theme of unity, the theme of coming together, how you're building your city and all the projects you have in place. And I thought it would be apropos. I should say that I am the founder of the We Can't Wait statewide PA coalition. I came here in March because, ironically enough, my coalition, we found this, we put names in a hat of cities we wanted to do rural initiatives with, and Uniontown came up, and I started to research about it. And I think when you talk about unity, I have found that this city is absolutely unique in the Southwest region because you have 20% of your residents that are black, and all of the other surrounding counties don't have that high percentage of representation. And so I wanted to just publicly ask you, because I've tried, to see if we, my coalition and the city and Ms. Nguyen and some of the entities that are in here and with your projects, if we could potentially enter a whole year initiative of working together and showing how people from inside the city can coalesce with people outside of the city. I find it really important and apropos at this time that we have to demonstrate within Pennsylvania that we can come together, right? And I spent the afternoon in the courthouse, and I got a tour of the courthouse, and I got the tour of the courtroom 1, the bell tower, I found out the name of why this is Fayette County from Marquis Lafayette. I saw the George Washington picture, the replica, it's an oil replica. And I think, you know, as I've gotten to know Tim very well, and I've gotten to know some of the residents in this city, I think it's time for someone to launch an initiative with a community organization, mine is certainly statewide, where we can demonstrate that we can come together. And I think, I don't know, the gentleman talked about unity, and it's interesting because we have to unify our efforts. And I wanted to have a meeting with the community as a whole, and it didn't happen, but I'm here now because I really think it's vitally important that you see who I am, that you hear who I am, and see my general intentions and wanting to work with everything here, because I find it really unique. I am from the Southeast region. I traveled here through many avenues of rainstorms to get here today. And I thought that was a metaphor of going through rainstorms and making it clear. And I'm here. And I really, really want to take this opportunity because I've worked very hard to try to represent the interest of the people that have reached out to me. I've worked very hard to try to look at how we can improve the state and rural PA. I'm not from rural PA. I'm not from the outskirts of here. And during the course of me getting to know Uniontown, I have bridged fortified relationships with the county commissioners, with State Senator Stefano's office. I have really worked hard to really work out the best avenue for us to do it. So I wanted to publicly just ask you, and Tim, since I feel like Tim may be my brother at this point, a brother from somebody else, to really look at the uniqueness of Uniontown. And like when I was at the courthouse today, I did see that your birthday was July 4th, and I didn't even know that. And I think it's going to be very historic in the fall when you have the first person of color on your city council. So I think there's milestones that are going to happen in the next year, and I think that we could be a standard bearer for the state. And I want to work with Tim, and I want to work with someone on the council to develop this. I've watched you a lot on your on these videos, and I really have found that you're even keeled, you're open, and I think that it's important to demonstrate, you know, how you guys want to lead, how you lead, and what we can do. And I really think it's vitally important because I've made a lot of efforts to work together, and I think we should. And I want you to consider that, and I want to talk to somebody on the council that I can work with to do that, because it's very, very unique that this is a diverse community as such. And I think that we have to mitigate all the tension that's out there, and I think this is an opportunity for you guys to establish a standard and make it, because why I was here in March was to announce a rural initiative in a city that has a significant portion of people of color. And Mr. Shuan, I've always listened to you as well. So it's good to see you in person and to finally, well, you can't really see you on the video, but to see you like right now, it's important. So I think, you know, even though this is over 3 minutes, I think it's important, since I traveled 4 hours to be here in the rain, did I say through periodical rainstorms, to just take advantage of having a dialogue with you guys and let you know that I'm a good person and that I have good intentions and I want to make the best for everybody here. And I think when you have an outside group like myself, we have an opportunity to show how we can bridge gaps too. And that could be a uniqueness. So what do you think?
How about right after the meeting?
Absolutely. Since I'm here, right? Since I'm here, how about you,
Sure.
Mr. Shuan?
Sure, absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. I just want to thank everybody that I've worked with for all this time. I can't believe I'm here. It's different when you are here versus what you see on the video. I just think it's really important to have this relationship building here, and that I'm not an adversary, I'm an ally, and I'm an ally for the people in Uniontown. Right across the street from the courthouse, there's an apartment for rent, and I almost was thinking I could just have a side place to come here because I almost feel like I'm a resident here. But I think it's really important to work together. And
Where are you from in Philadelphia?
Well, actually, I'm from Montgomery County.
Okay.
But I live in Philadelphia. One of those empty nester situations. When my son went off to college, I got a condo in Philadelphia because I earned that time to be by myself. But I'm from Montgomery County, and the person that was giving me the tour in the courthouse, we made parallels about the courthouse in Fayette County versus the courthouse in Montgomery County. And I know that, I think it was Chief Cox, he was admiring all our police departments in Montgomery County, because apparently our police officers make a lot of money compared to other places.
I lived in Philadelphia for...
So I'm in Center City. I should say I'm in Center City. I'm on the Parkway. I live across the street from the Art Museum.
Oh, okay.
The Rocky Steps.
I lived in Yeadon, and I worked in Upper Darby.
So therefore, you know what diversity is about,
Oh, yeah.
don't you?
Oh, yeah.
And don't you think that, okay, so how long have you been out here?
I was away from 1980 to 1990, but I only lived in Philadelphia from 84 to 86.
Right.
So,
But how long have you been in Uniontown?
I moved back in 1990.
Right. So having lived in Upper Darby and Yeadon, you see the value of diversity, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think your city is unique? So you've been out here in the Southwest. I haven't been to all the places. I haven't been to Greene County, I haven't been to Washington. But statistically, this is a very significant amount of people of color. And I think you have a unique opportunity. So I'm so glad you're from Upper Darby and Yeadon, so you know the value of diversity, and I think this is an opportunity.
I'm from here originally, but...
Also, then did you have a culture shock ever?
My work took me there.
Oh, and you survived coming to Yeadon and Upper Darby to come back over here, right? So all is not bad, and I think, you know, the other good piece about this is bringing together the South, the West, and the East. I think that's important for Pennsylvania. And my coalition members, and I just want to acknowledge someone from Clearfield County came here to be here today, but we have people from other areas of rural PA, and I think that if we bring them as a part of this effort, we become a standard bearer for Pennsylvania, which I think is a great thing, right?
I do, yeah. I'm right there with you.
All right. So I look forward to talking to you afterwards. How are you, Miss Marshall? It's nice to see you in person as well. All right. So I'm good. And so we're going to move forward. All of you in your community. Can I be an honorary Uniontown resident? Huh? Any hands up? That's it? Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm an honorary, and I'll talk to you guys after the meeting. Thank you so much. All right.
Any other public comment this evening? Would you stand up, state your name and your address, please?
Thank you for having me. I'm Kelly Trott, 135 Virginia Avenue. I just had a few questions. Ms. Kutek, the social media, is there going to be a page for the city where we can?
Yes.
Okay. It's not out yet?
It's not out yet. I wanted the social media policy approved first.
Okay. I missed Santa in a fire truck in the middle of a pandemic with 2 kids.
Mayor Gerke sharing everything on his page.
Okay, so follow you, Mayor Gerke. Okay, I just didn't want to miss anything. Okay, Mr. John, the Greenways grant, do we have an expectation of when we'll hear back?
I believe sometime in late August.
Okay.
And then those funds don't get dispersed for another 8, 9, 10 months.
So we have to hear if we're approved first, or is that, I just wanted to know so what I'm looking for the sheepskin.
We can go seek more private money as well. And we have already secured enough private funding, as I said, to do the first 877 feet, I believe. That would be from where it ends to Dunbar Street. That runs all the way behind Bailey Park until it crosses the street at the street department. We have to wait for the Public Utilities Commission to start ripping out the tracks from there.
Okay, and we're waiting to hear back from them in June. I'm just making a mental
They're the last step, right?
They're the last step. That's the only holdup right now, other than funding, which where there's a will, there's a way. We'll find the funding. If we have to dig with shovels and blow torches ourselves, we'll be the first ones out there.
Okay, so, I was just making mental notes. And then I'm hearing a few things about Bailey Park, and I was just wondering, is that going to be open for public comment and ideas?
Go ahead, Kelly, what was the question?
It feels like things might be changing at Bailey Park, and I just didn't know if there are plans in place, or it might be like an open public comment situation for sharing of ideas.
Part of the comprehensive plan involves the entire Parks and Recreation Department. Bailey Park, Grant Street,
Colic
Run, Chestnut Ridge. Bailey Park, we want to be like a showcase, since it is right on the Sheepskin Trail. And we have plans and ideas, but we are certainly going to open things up to public comment, and we have been talking about forming committees. And
Go ahead,
I was gonna say,
Go ahead, Mook.
we talked to Mr. Witt about the proper way to form committees for certain things. We want to form a committee for the Sheepskin Trail. We want to form a committee for the Parks and Recreation Department, because it is the public input that is needed the most.
Okay, I didn't know if things were going to move forward, we should send ideas off or just wait and see if...
Please.
Contact you directly? Or...
I would say so for the time being. Councilman Colombo is still in charge of the Parks and Recreation Department, but we're all kind of pitching in. As we said, one team, one dream.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for your work on the trail and everything. And thanks for everything.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Any other public comment this evening?
Thank you, Kelly.
Just real quick, just to piggyback off of Joe, we're talking about safety. I just want to ask everybody to please just watch out for motorcycles, riders, and drivers of vehicles. It's tough right now. Less than 2 months ago, I was in an accident myself. Somebody pulled up right in front of me. Was looking, broken ribs. This right here is my collarbone, which will never go back down. You know, I'm somebody's son, father. I'm a grandfather, and things change fast. I was going 25, had those injuries. My helmet was damaged up. So just take an extra second just to watch out for bikes. I just ask that. It's people just don't take much notice of bikes, and sometimes the bikes are not taking much notice of vehicles. So just if everyone just gives an extra second just to watch, it'd be great. I just wanted to throw that out. Thanks.
Any other public comment this evening?
Can I make one more quick one, Mayor?
Go right ahead, Mr. John. No.
Maybe I didn't clarify.
In terms of the comprehensive plan, we need this comprehensive plan for all aspects of the city. Does anybody still carry quarters in their pocket for parking meters? We're still living in like the mid-90s.
That's what that's what Mookie and I have had conversations about. I say in the mid-80s, Mookie says the mid-90s, but we're living in the past. And we're looking into all those avenues
Yeah,
of parking, recreation, Sheepskin Trail. Go ahead, Mook.
Generating revenue for the city.
That's what it's all about. Yes.
It's about how we can not just self-sustain as a community, but how we can, again, we'll use this word, I get the chills when I say it, unite together and do things together and be one team, because we do have an opportunity before us that we probably haven't seen since the coal industry. We can use this Sheepskin Trail as a springboard to provide business upon business upon business. Is Bill Talkington still here? I'm sorry to mention your name, but the ideas that you and Kelly have thrown out are ideas that are proven in other areas of the country. You've seen it and you've lived it. So we are absolutely going to beg for help and beg for public comment, because this 5-year plan, this 10-year comprehensive plan, it's about where we can go as a community and how we can change the way we live and look at each other and unite together. And that's what it's all about. We want, real quick, I mention this young man's name almost twice a day. If anybody knows Benjamin Wilson, he's a graduate of Uniontown High School and is a walk-on at the Penn State football team. If I had a daughter, he's the kind of kid I want my daughter to marry. We want people like Benjamin Wilson and college graduates that want to come back, that have a reason to come back, not just maybe to take care of a loved one, but to build a community. We want to raise our children and raise our families in a community where, you mentioned Bailey Park, I want to walk down the hill from my house and utilize Bailey Park and maybe see a splash park or a pool or a recreation complex right there. I know that's wishful thinking, but if we're talking 5-10 years down the road, these are things that we have to start visualizing and putting in place and forming committees and seeking outside help. So maybe just on an ending note, it's the public. It's the residents of the city. It's the people who take pride in the city, who know the stories of the sports champions of the city, who know the stories of Carlton Wade, who is a physician in Dallas, Texas, who's from a 1993 graduate of Uniontown. Those are people who make our city proud. Those are people who make what we come from proud. I sat yesterday in Miss Kutek's office with a gold medalist who set the record in, I don't know, maybe the mile. Mr. Thomas set the gold record in the mile for the state in the 60s. We've got such a rich history here, both natural and national. July 4th, 1776, Miss Taylor, that's our birthday.
I know.
So we've got something that nobody else in the country has in our mountains, in our beauty, in our coke ovens, in the history that really built a country from the ground up. So, Mayor and Council, thank you again for letting me come back up.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Sir?
I want to do this informally. I just want to ask you a couple of questions for brainstorming to help. You mentioned that you're going to recycle the tracks. Have you looked into recycling the ballast that are on the tracks, the gravel? Or have you looked into the market for used railroad ties? I know that sounds ridiculous, but I believe there's a power generating plant that burns railroad.
Thank you for the comment. And since we aren't at that point yet, we probably haven't done as much research as we should have.
One other thing I would like to offer to you. I'm not familiar with your situation with the tracks. I'm not from here. One question that's in my mind is how wide is the right-of-way that you put the rail on, the trail?
The trail is set to be, is Mr. Over still here? I think between 8 and 10 feet wide.
How wide is the railroad right-of-way that you're going to acquire? 66 feet is what most are.
I believe, that's a question for Mr. Witt.
So let me offer this to you. I'm just trying to give you some positive.
Yeah.
In the town that I'm from, there was cases where you have adjoining property owners to the railroad track. Town I'm from, where you abandon an alley or something, a lot of times they'll give the adjoining property owner the ability to buy half of it. In the town that I'm from, they did a rails to trails. I actually bought 20.5 feet of the edge of the railroad to get access to a useless piece of property in hopes of getting it on the tax roll, on the tax roll and putting it into use. That may be something you may consider, and it also might make your trail more welcoming to the neighboring property owners. Because after all, there is a legal thing with rails to trails. When the rails were taken and the right-of-ways were taken, they were taken from the farmers and the property owners. And there is some reference to if the rails ever cease to exist, they're supposed to be moved back to the property.
Well, yeah, thank you for the insight. And number one, we're going to try to recycle and reuse as much as we can. Yes, sir.
One more.
Yes, sir. What's your name first, sir, so I don't keep calling you sir?
Well, my name's Joe Marino, and I'm from Clearville County.
Okay. Welcome to Uniontown, Joe.
Okay. One more. So when you come to an intersection of a big, busy highway, there's always an ability to market your crossing with billboard. I personally, along this same rails and trails, not under 20.5 feet I was sold, but I personally generate about $6,000 a year in rent revenue from the billboard. And that might be something.
Absolutely. And we also have the idea of telling the story of Uniontown in murals along the buildings that sit on the trail, because we have...
You can coordinate with your local, and I'll hook it out there. You could coordinate with your local, let's say you have economic development coordinator. You could do a billboard on your own and self-serve instead of paying a high rent for a billboard.
Absolutely. And that economic development along the trail is what we see building the city again. One business at a time, one market district at a time, one recreation center at a time, one splash pool, all of it. But thank you, Joe, for your comments. And anybody else? Mayor?
Real quick, Mr. John, I just want to state that 6 weeks ago, how long have you been here, Mr. John? About 6 weeks ago. Council and mayor had hired Mr. John Miskutek to do their various jobs. And you can see what they've done here in the span of 6 weeks. Mr. John Miskutek and myself, we meet on a daily basis, and this energy just... I had ideas whenever I became mayor that we needed to do this, but I didn't have the people to put this into place. Now the city has the people to put this into place, and you can see that progress is being made. And I want to thank both Mr. John Miskutek for their hard work and endless hours that they put in here at City Hall. I see what they do here, and it's more than their hours, what they're contracted for. Mr. Vilk.
I hear all this talk about everything that's going on, but let's not forget about the neighborhoods. If you go out Nordown Avenue, go up any street, you'll see what I'm talking about. Got major problems in the city.
We have problems, sir, as everybody does.
We absolutely have problems, Mr. Vilk, and a year ago, I think that at this meeting, we didn't have a code enforcement officer. We hired a code enforcement officer a year ago. We only have one code enforcement officer now, and he's done a fabulous job, and we're working toward those. You know, I hate to use this cliche that Rome wasn't built in a day, but a year ago, we didn't even have a code officer in the city of Uniontown. Mr. Thomas has done a fabulous job, and I think everyone in this room can agree with me that the hard work that he's done. And just with another cleanup day, we're going to work on that. We just have to work together, and we talk about unity. That's what it's all about. It's all about unity.
You got a lot of buildings to be torn out.
And once again, sir, once we get this comprehensive plan developed, we have the opportunity to go after more money. We have the opportunity to go after more funds. And once we do start developing a trail and rebuilding the city, things change little by little.
I've been here 46 years. I see some changes.
We're working hard at it, and we're not... Like I always say, I'm never satisfied, and I'm sure Mr. John Miskutek and the rest of the team, they're not satisfied either.
And on
Don't forget the neighborhood.
Absolutely, and can I thank you for your service?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Would you again state your name and your address, please?
My name is Christina Joy Fulton. I'm from 322 West Cherry Street in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. I was actually on some of your ballots. I am a Biden delegate for the 15th Congressional District, so we're in the same district. And I am also a co-founder for the Rural Alliance I'm sorry, I got a little nervous there, for the Rural Alliance of Racial Equity. And it's not just for Clearfield County. My goal in the future is to address the T. Now, Uniontown's a little bit there out of the T, but it's still considered rural. So Pennsylvania, a lot of people do know this, but the T of Pennsylvania goes across the top and down the middle, and then you have the two cities and over there. So my reason for coming today was to support Carmina, number one. I kind of been watching some things along the way. I've been learning a lot. I've been learning a lot about my own privilege. Been learning a lot about anti-racism. So when I hear you all talk about progressing as a community and in unity, we also have to remember that it's okay to talk about it. Okay, there's a big elephant in the room as if we don't want to talk about communities with their hardships and their conflict with racial justice and their racial conflicts. It's okay to talk about it. So what I want to say is I had someone say to me, "You're from Clearfield. It's not diverse enough for you to talk about anti-racism. You know, there's hardly any black people living there." And what I'm here to tell you all tonight is, I'm sure you've all heard the President of the United States. He is really talking about the systemic racism and the injustices in our country, and I've seen them personally. And I want you to understand that racism isn't something that people of color are to solve. It's not their job to solve it, this problem, this conflict. It's the job of the white people to understand our privilege, to understand bad habits that go back so a long way. You know, oh, he really writes well for, you know, these are things that we've been taught and learned and just have been brought down and ancestors, and you don't have to be afraid of it. But if you want to bring people here back from college, those young kids that are leaving the towns, they're leaving the towns because there's too much of that. Too much of racism, a lack of diversity, and a little just the old authoritarian kind of ways, you know, so they're tired of that. They want to see progress and diversity. So I'm just here to say it's a big elephant in the room, and you don't have to be afraid to talk about it, okay? So we make mistakes. I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I have a friend, she came to town. She's doing this project for the poor people, and I said, oh, I have so much about racism to learn from you, because she's black. It's just not her job to teach me. It's time for me to teach myself. So that's why I came here, was to support, because I've been watching some things, and I applaud all of you for your unity, and I wish you all the luck, and if you need me, I can give you my contact information, because I did feel like, well, this is the 15th Congressional District, and my name was on the ballot, so I was allowed to speak tonight. So I appreciate you letting me talk, and you all have a very good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment this evening? If not, that's all I have.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Uniontown, the council adjourned to meet Thursday, July 1, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. Mr. Shuhon?
Yes.
Mr. Vasaki?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. Thank you all for coming.
Take care.
Scott Dunn lost his phone in front of City Hall.